Kicking things off at number 1, It Takes Two is the award-winning cooperative adventure from Hazelight Studios that is arguably the best co-op game ever made. Players take control of a couple on the verge of divorce who are magically transformed into dolls and must work together to find a way back to their human forms. Every chapter introduces a completely new gameplay mechanic, meaning the experience constantly reinvents itself across its runtime. From tool-based puzzles to intense action sequences, no two sections feel the same. The game demands genuine communication and cooperation, making it a perfect experience for partners, friends, or siblings playing side by side. Emotional storytelling runs alongside the gameplay, giving the adventure real narrative weight. It won numerous Game of the Year awards and remains the gold standard for couch co-op game design. If you only play one game from this entire list with someone sitting next to you, make it this one without any hesitation.
Second on the list is Overcooked All You Can Eat, the definitive collection of the beloved Culinary Chaos series that brings together both Overcooked games along with all their downloadable content in one packed package. Players take on the role of chefs working in increasingly absurd kitchens, chopping ingredients, cooking dishes, and plating orders before the timer runs out. The catch is that kitchens are often split across moving platforms, icebergs, or ghost-infested locations that constantly shift and challenge coordination. The game is designed around communication, with success depending entirely on how well players assign tasks and adapt to changing conditions. It is immediately fun for complete beginners, but scales in difficulty to genuinely challenge experienced players in later levels. The full accessibility suite added in this collection edition makes it welcoming to players of all abilities. For couch co-op sessions with family or friends of any age or gaming background, Overcooked All You Can Eat remains one of the most reliably entertaining options on Steam.
Number 3 is Unravel 2, the beautiful platformer from Coldwood Interactive, where two yarnies made of colorful thread must work together to navigate stunning natural environments, filled with puzzles and platforming challenges. The core mechanic of connecting the two characters with yarn opens up creative traversal options, allowing one player to swing while the other anchors, or for both to combine their thread to bridge gaps and climb surfaces. The visual presentation is exceptional, with environments that look almost like living paintings, shifting from forests to industrial settings. Unlike the first game, Unravel 2 is built specifically around co-op from the ground up, and the experience is noticeably richer when played with a partner. The difficulty scales naturally, meaning younger or less experienced players can be carried through more challenging sections without frustration. It is a calm, visually stunning, and emotionally warm couch co-op experience that stands out in a genre often dominated by chaotic and competitive design. Fourth is Cuphead, the iconic run-and-gun game from Studio MDHR that has become one of the most visually distinctive games of the modern era, with its hand-drawn 1930s cartoon animation style. Players face a relentless series of boss fights across a story where Cuphead must repay a debt to the devil by collecting the souls of others. Each boss is a creative masterpiece, with multiple phases and attack patterns that require memorization and precise movement to overcome. The difficulty is famously high, but the satisfaction of finally defeating a challenging boss after repeated attempts is equally massive. Two-player co-op allows a friend to join as Mugman, making some fights more manageable through combined firepower and revive mechanics. Playing side by side on a couch amplifies both the frustration and the celebration of each victory. The delicious Last Course expansion added further content and new challenges. Cuphead is a visually and mechanically stunning achievement that belongs on every co-op gaming list. Coming in at 5, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is the ultimate love letter to classic beat-em-up fans, capturing the energy and nostalgia of the original arcade titles while delivering a modernized and polished brawling experience. Players choose from multiple playable characters, including all 4 turtles, Splinter, April, and Casey Jones, each with unique movesets and special abilities. The game supports up to 6 players simultaneously, making it one of the most socially packed couch co-op options on the list. Streets are packed with waves of Foot Clan soldiers, iconic villains from the animated series, and spectacular boss encounters that demand teamwork and timing. The pixel art visuals are lovingly crafted, and the soundtrack captures the spirit of the franchise perfectly. Story mode and arcade mode both offer distinct pacing experiences.
Whether you grew up with the franchise or are discovering it fresh, Shredder's Revenge is a pure, joyful, and endlessly replayable co-op brawler that delivers every time. At number 6, Moving Out 2 takes the physics-based moving chaos of the original and expands it with more locations, more bizarre furniture, more environmental hazards, and a wild portal mechanic that links levels across different dimensions. Players work as employees of a removal company tasked with getting all furniture out of a building and into the truck before time runs out. The game uses intentionally wobbly and uncooperative physics, making even simple tasks hilarious when played with a partner. Couches get stuck in doorways, appliances fall downstairs, and players frequently drag each other across the level in the process of moving a single item. The accessibility options are generous, letting players tune the difficulty to their preferences without compromising the fun. New worlds introduce fresh environmental gimmicks that keep the chaos feeling fresh throughout the campaign. Moving Out 2 is one of the funniest couch co-op experiences on Steam, built entirely for laughing together at spectacular failures alongside your playing partner. 7th is Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime, a vibrant and charming cooperative shooter where players crew a spherical spaceship and battle through colorful galaxies to rescue imprisoned space animals from the forces of anti-love. Each player operates different gun stations, shields, and engines on the ship, requiring constant communication to handle incoming threats from all directions. The ship can be upgraded with different colored gems that modify the behavior of each module, allowing teams to customize their defensive and offensive strategies. The art style is bright, bubbly, and genuinely joyful, creating an atmosphere that feels warm and inviting even during intense combat sequences. The game supports 2-player local co-op perfectly and remains one of the most consistently underrated options in the genre. Boss battles are creative and require players to coordinate which stations to operate under pressure. If you are looking for a couch co-op shooter that is welcoming, visually distinctive, and mechanically engaging without being overwhelming, Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime is a deeply satisfying choice. Number 8 goes to Hammerwatch II, the open-world action RPG sequel that takes the dungeon-crawling foundation of the original and expands it into a full adventure with quests, exploration, and deep character progression. Players choose from multiple classes and journey through a large interconnected world filled with enemies, secrets, and challenging dungeons to clear together. The class system offers meaningful differences in playstyle, from warrior tanks to rangers and warlocks, encouraging teams to build complementary compositions. Local co-op is smoothly implemented, with the camera scaling to keep both players visible on screen during exploration. Loot, upgrades, and skill trees give the game long-term depth that rewards extended play sessions. The pixel art world is detailed and atmospheric, with environments that shift from sun-drenched towns to dark forests and ancient ruins. Hammerwatch II stands out as a couch co-op RPG that respects the player's time while delivering enough content and challenge to keep sessions engaging well beyond a single sitting. 9th on the list is Streets of Rage 4, the long-awaited revival of the legendary Sega beat-em-up franchise that exceeded every expectation when it launched and remains one of the finest entries in the genre. The hand-drawn art style is stunning, with character animations that are fluid and full of personality. Players fight through beautifully realized urban environments, battling waves of enemies, using a combo system that rewards aggressive and creative play. Each playable character feels distinctly different, with unique movesets that suit different approaches to combat. The game includes both classic characters and new additions, with unlockable retro versions of fan favorites. The soundtrack by an all-star roster of video game composers is exceptional, matching the energy of every encounter perfectly. Up to 4 players can join in locally, making it one of the most accommodating couch co-op brawlers available. Multiple difficulty settings and a deep score attack mode extend replayability significantly. Streets of Rage 4 is a masterclass in how to revive a classic franchise. At 10, Broforce Forever is the definitive version of the chaotic side-scrolling action game, where players control a rotating roster of ultra-masculine action hero parodies and blast through fully destructible environments in an explosion-soaked rampage. Every bro is a parody of a famous action movie character, from Rambro to Brobocop, each with unique weapons and abilities that completely change how a level is approached. The local co-op mode is delightful chaos, with friendly fire enabled and the environment constantly crumbling under the combined assault of multiple players. Levels are short and frantic, making it ideal for quick sessions or extended marathon play. The humor is consistent and irreverent throughout, and the game never takes itself seriously for even a moment. New content added in the Forever update expanded the roster and introduced new campaign content. Broforce Forever is loud, destructive, and relentlessly entertaining as a couch co-op experience. Best enjoyed with players who appreciate both action movie references and genuine gameplay satisfaction from creative destruction.
11th is Neon Abyss, a fast-paced roguelite platformer where players descend into a procedurally generated underworld, battling through increasingly dangerous rooms filled with enemies, traps, and powerful bosses. The game is built around a unique item synergy system where collected power-ups can stack in unexpected and sometimes wildly overpowered combinations, making each run feel uniquely unpredictable. 2 players can dive into the abyss together in local co-op, sharing the challenge of building strong runs and surviving boss encounters. The neon visual aesthetic is vibrant and atmospheric, giving the dungeon a nightclub-like energy that matches the pounding electronic soundtrack. Each deity in the underworld functions as a final boss with distinct attack patterns, requiring both players to coordinate positioning and movement carefully. Unlockable characters add starting ability variety, encouraging experimentation across multiple playthroughs. Neon Abyss rewards both casual drop-in sessions and longer committed runs equally well, making it a flexible and genuinely addictive addition to any couch co-op gaming library.
Number 12 is Enter the Gungeon, one of the most celebrated roguelite shooters ever made, where players descend into a bullet-hell dungeon searching for a gun that can kill the past. The game is famous for its extraordinary variety of weapons, with hundreds of uniquely themed firearms, each carrying their own mechanical quirks and synergies. Bullet patterns from enemies are dense and require constant movement and dodging, creating an intensity that keeps every room engaging. 2-player local co-op adds a second character who must survive the same rooms simultaneously, doubling both the firepower and the chaos. The dungeon is procedurally generated and filled with secrets, NPCs, hidden rooms, and shortcuts that reward thorough exploration. Boss fights are creative and demanding, with patterns that push both players to their limits. The humor woven throughout the game, from weapon names to enemy designs, gives it a playful personality that balances the difficulty. Enter the Gungeon remains essential couch co-op gaming years after its original release.
13th on the countdown is Full Metal Furies, the cooperative action RPG from Rogue Legacy developer Cellar Door Games that blends brawler combat with deep RPG mechanics across a fantasy world filled with warring factions. Players choose from 4 distinct classes and work together to clear enemy-packed stages while managing elemental weaknesses, status effects, and positional strategies. The combat rewards players who understand and exploit the enemy type system, where certain attacks only damage specific enemy categories. Puzzle elements tied to co-op mechanics require genuine coordination, with some solutions only achievable when both players act simultaneously. The humor in the writing is sharp and frequent, giving the story an entertaining tone throughout the campaign. Loot and character progression give the game a satisfying loop that encourages continued play between stages. Full Metal Furies is a gem that was largely overlooked on release, but has since built a dedicated following among fans of cooperative action RPGs. It remains one of the most mechanically interesting couch co-op experiences on Steam.
At 14 is Spelunky 2, the sequel to the legendary roguelike platformer that took everything that made the original one of the most influential indie games ever made and expanded it in nearly every dimension. Players explore procedurally generated underground caverns, hunting for treasure while avoiding traps, enemies, and the devastating consequences of careless movement. The game operates on strict and unforgiving rules that create genuine tension in every action taken. 2 players can explore together locally, though the addition of another player introduces as much danger as it removes, since friendly damage is fully active and one mistake can doom both participants. Hidden paths, secret areas, and an enormous variety of items and throwables give the game extraordinary depth that reveals itself slowly over many hours of play. The learning curve is steep, but the satisfaction of progress is proportionally massive. Spelunky 2 is genuinely one of the deepest and most rewarding cooperative platformers available on Steam, built for players who want a real challenge.
Number 15 is Trine 5, A Clockwork Conspiracy, the latest entry in the beloved fantasy puzzle platformer series that combines stunning visuals with physics-based puzzle solving and fluid combat across a beautifully imagined fairy tale world. 3 heroes, the wizard, the thief, and the knight, each bring unique abilities that must be combined to progress through levels filled with environmental puzzles and enemy encounters. The wizard conjures objects and moves platforms, the thief uses a grappling hook and bow, and the knight handles direct combat, creating a natural division of roles for co-op play. Local multiplayer allows up to 4 players, though the experience is at its best with 2 or 3 participants working through puzzles together. The level design is imaginative and consistently inventive, introducing new mechanics and challenges throughout the campaign. The art direction is exceptional, with every scene feeling like a painting come to life. Trine 5 is one of the most visually spectacular cooperative gaming experiences available on Steam, and an essential series entry.
16th goes to Nobody Saves the World, the shape-shifting action RPG from Drinkbox Studios, where players transform between a growing roster of forms, including rat, horse, dragon, and ghost, to tackle procedurally modified dungeons and complete class-specific quests. Each form has unique abilities that can be mixed and matched after unlocking them, creating an extraordinarily flexible build system. 2 players can explore and battle together in local co-op, combining forms for powerful ability combinations. The quest system encourages experimenting with every available form, rather than sticking to a single preferred playstyle, pushing players into varied and creative approaches. The humor is quirky and consistent, with writing that keeps the tone light, even through increasingly challenging late-game content. Visual progression through form upgrades provides satisfying visual feedback to complement the mechanical growth. Nobody Saves the World is a surprisingly deep and imaginative co-op RPG that rewards experimentation generously and consistently delivers interesting decisions throughout its full campaign runtime. At 17 is Cataclismo, a real-time strategy and tower defense hybrid, where players construct fortifications using individual building blocks and then defend them against waves of monstrous enemies in a dark fantasy world on the brink of collapse. The building system is the heart of the game, demanding players think architecturally about wall placement, height advantages, gate positioning, and unit flow paths. Co-op play allows one player to focus on construction, while the other manages unit deployment and combat, creating a satisfying division of labor that feels genuinely collaborative. Enemy waves escalate in complexity and scale, requiring constant adaptation and reinforcement of defensive positions. The pixel art style is detailed and atmospheric, with environmental design that communicates the bleakness of the world effectively. Strategic depth increases steadily as the campaign progresses, introducing new enemy types and building components. Cataclismo is a genuinely original co-op experience that stands apart from typical tower defense games through its tactile and creative construction system, combined with meaningful strategic decision-making under pressure. Number 18 is Nine Souls, the lore-rich action platformer from Red Candle Games that draws from Taiwanese mythology and Taopunk aesthetics to create one of the most visually and narratively distinctive games in recent years. Combat is built around a parry-focused system, where deflecting enemy attacks is essential for survival and counterattacking effectively. The world design is interconnected in the Metroidvania tradition, with abilities unlocked through boss defeats opening new paths across a beautifully realized post-apocalyptic setting. The storytelling is deeply layered, with a narrative exploring themes of memory, identity, and cultural legacy. Boss fights are the highlights of the experience, each demanding precise timing and an understanding of distinct attack patterns. The hand-painted art style is extraordinary in its detail and atmosphere. While primarily a solo experience, sharing the journey on a couch and navigating its world together creates a compelling shared experience. Nine Souls is among the most artistically ambitious and mechanically demanding indie games available on Steam today. 19th is Children of Morta, the narrative-driven action roguelite from Dead Mage that follows the Berkson family of guardians as they fight against a spreading corruption threatening their world. Each family member is a playable character with a completely unique combat style, from the sword and shield father to the bow-wielding daughter and the hammer-swinging uncle. The story unfolds through beautifully narrated cutscenes and character interactions between dungeon runs, giving the progression loop emotional weight beyond typical roguelite conventions. Two-player local co-op allows pairs to fight through procedurally generated dungeons together, combining different family member abilities for effective partnerships. Upgrades carry across runs through a family skill tree, creating a persistent sense of growth even through failed attempts. The pixel art is detailed and atmospheric, and the soundtrack is genuinely moving in its emotional range. Children of Morta is a rare roguelite that earns genuine emotional investment alongside its addictive gameplay loop, making it a standout cooperative experience on Steam.
At number 20 is Crawl, the deeply creative local multiplayer dungeon crawler where one player takes the role of the hero while all other players control the monsters and traps trying to kill them. When the hero dies, the player who landed the killing blow becomes the new hero, creating a constantly shifting dynamic where every participant wants to be the one to make the decisive strike. The goal is to reach the final boss as the hero and defeat it before the other players manage to take over. The monster variety is extensive, and players controlling creatures must spend collected gold to power up demons and unlock more powerful entities. The pixel art style is raw and energetic, perfectly matching the frantic pace of every session. This format creates a genuinely unique power dynamic that no other couch co-op game quite replicates. Crawl is best experienced with 3 or 4 players on a couch, where the competitive tension and rapid role reversals generate natural moments of excitement, frustration, and celebration in equal measure. 21 is Viking by Proxy, a tactical co-op brawler where players control Viking warriors, fighting through mythology-inspired battlefields using a combination of melee combat, shield mechanics, and environmental interaction. The game rewards patience and coordination over button mashing, with enemy patterns that demand awareness of positioning and timing. Multiple playable characters offer distinct fighting approaches, encouraging pairs to experiment with complementary pairings. The visual style draws from Norse imagery, with a stylized and atmospheric interpretation of mythological settings. Boss encounters are the highlights, requiring both players to manage the arena effectively while dealing with complex attack sequences. The progression system rewards completion of challenges and encourages replaying earlier stages with new character combinations. Viking by Proxy occupies a satisfying niche between accessible brawler and demanding tactical action game, making it a strong choice for couch co-op pairs who want something engaging beyond simple wave-clearing gameplay and are looking for a title with genuine mechanical depth. At 22 is Dungeons 4, the dark comedy strategy game from Realm Forge Studios, where players take control of the absolutely evil Absolute Evil and build an underground dungeon empire while unleashing armies of creatures upon the overworld. Campaign missions task players with constructing efficient dungeon layouts, managing creature populations, and launching raids on surface kingdoms filled with obnoxious heroes. The humor is consistently sharp and self-aware, poking fun at fantasy tropes throughout every mission briefing and cutscene. Two-player co-op allows pairs to divide dungeon management responsibilities, with one handling construction and another managing army deployment. The strategy layer has genuine depth, with creature tier upgrades, room specialization, and tactical unit composition all contributing to success. The overworld maps are varied and filled with objectives that reward creative approaches. Dungeons 4 is an entertainingly irreverent couch co-op strategy experience that never takes itself seriously, while still delivering a mechanically satisfying and replayable campaign with consistent humor throughout. 23 is Brotato, the fast-paced arena survival roguelite, where players control a potato wielding up to 6 weapons simultaneously against endless waves of alien enemies. Between waves, players choose from a wide selection of items and stat upgrades that combine in increasingly powerful and sometimes absurd synergies. The rounds are very short, keeping the pace relentless and making it easy to start new runs immediately after a defeat. Two-player co-op adds a second potato to the arena, combining firepower and upgrade decisions for a more chaotic and entertaining experience. The character roster is extensive, each starting with different stats and weapon restrictions that dramatically change optimal item selections. The simplicity of the visual presentation masks a surprisingly deep build crafting system that rewards careful planning across each run. Brotato is one of the most addictive session-based couch co-op experiences on Steam, perfectly suited for sitting down together for short bursts of increasingly ridiculous weapon combination mayhem with rewarding mechanical depth. At number 24 is Huntdown, the synthwave-soaked running gun shooter set in a neon-drenched dystopian future, where bounty hunters pursue gang leaders through a series of action-packed side-scrolling stages. 3 playable hunters each bring distinct weapons and playstyles to the mission, from a cybernetic soldier to a mercenary and an android. Enemies drop their weapons on defeat, allowing players to continuously swap their arsenal based on what the battlefield provides. Boss fights are creative and memorable, each requiring players to read attack patterns and exploit openings with precision. The two-player local co-op is a natural fit for the game's rhythm, with pairs able to cover different areas of the screen and revive each other after taking damage. The pixel art is beautifully detailed, and the soundtrack is an outstanding collection of electronic tracks that match the visual tone perfectly. Huntdown is a lovingly crafted and mechanically sharp couch co-op shooter that punches well above its budget in terms of overall production quality and entertainment value. Closing out the list at 25 is Astral Ascent, the fast-paced roguelite action platformer where players choose from a roster of heroes and battle through the garden, a magical prison guarded by 12 powerful Zodiac boss characters. Combat is built around a spell-slinging system, where players equip a loadout of abilities before each run and use them in combination to handle enemies and bosses effectively. The 12 Zodiac bosses each have distinct, detailed attack patterns and phase transitions that make defeating them a genuinely satisfying challenge. Two-player local co-op allows pairs to tackle the garden together, combining different hero abilities for cooperative strategies. The hand-drawn art style is gorgeous, with character animations that are smooth and expressive. Each hero has a distinct narrative thread that unfolds through dialogue and interactions with NPCs encountered during runs, adding story depth to the roguelite loop. Astral Ascent is a beautifully presented and mechanically polished couch co-op roguelite that deserves far more attention than it currently receives on Steam.